Hello, BookTube. Well, I've been gone for a few days, and before I start on your Monday MegaStuff video, I wanted to thank you all because I know the typical cliche phrase is outpouring, but the outpouring of concern and friendship that I've had from so many of you. So that's what happens when you leave your email on every video about the fact that I have not been visible for the last few days has been incredible. That outpouring has been incredible, humbling, amazing. I I know that on one level intellectually, I know that we have a very human and friendly, real world little connection going in this little corner of BookTube. We don't do YouTube like any other part of YouTube does. We're not talking over each other. We're not talking past each other. We're not selling things to each other. In this little corner of BookTube, we're really just sort of visiting with each other. And I knew that intellectually, but when you get an onslaught of the kind of concern and friendship and cheering up and all that I've had in the last few days, it really illustrates the point. I don't know what's going to happen. As I mentioned before, I don't know what's going to happen with this little corner of BookTube. I have no idea. I don't imagine that it's going to last forever. But we should cherish it for what it is while we have it, because it is something special. And I wanted to thank all of you for all of those messages. I have been under the weather. I have not been able to make videos, and I'm not feeling all that great still, but I thought I would at least try to make a couple of videos. So, besides, we have lots to talk about, including some once again just an endlessly fantastic barrage of questions for our latest Q&A that I haven't even ported those questions over, much less started to mull on them. I really need to do that because I had originally planned on doing that this weekend, and that went out the window completely. This weekend was entirely devoted to being fussed over. But I'm back now, and I have a MegaStuff video for you. It won't be long. I'm not going to fill it with much. I'll start off with babies. And thank you, of course. I'll start off with babies. I sent out a call for dog pictures. Send me pictures of your dogs with your Shakespeare, and I got a lot of pictures, but not all of dogs. They've been all over the map, including things like this. Look at that. That is Tuppy, who had an adventure recently that I'm wondering if any of your cats have had, where Tuppy licked a toad and foamed at the mouth for a bit for recovering. Do your cats get into things like that, and does it happen to you? And then this picture, this put a big smile on my face. That is pretty much my people in quick summary. And then look at this thing. Do your cats do this? This is another cat. Look what this thing is doing. Smack dab on the middle of the book. That is just rude. Are cats rude? And my favorite picture so far is this one. I saw this great picture. I don't know which of them is smiling more broadly, but I thought about it, and I thought, before social media, before the internet, we would never have seen these pictures. These would have been pictures that were in a photo album somewhere or in a shoebox that visitors to the house, maybe, who really cozened up to the dog, would see. But the rest of us wouldn't see them. That I often forget that when I'm scrolling through social media, that these things are a net plus. These are a net plus. These are we all get to see these things now, and we didn't before. I think that's great, absolutely great. So by all means, keep the pictures coming. I don't have any other real updates other than that. And as far as tech goes, my new iPad, my 7th iPad, 7 of 9, and my smart fabric skin keyboard, I bought that combination. The fabric skin keyboard connects directly to the iPad, so you don't need to worry about Bluetooth. And I gave it an acid test. I went up to Vermont. I went up to Mark Richardson's place and his house in Richardson, up in Vermont, and for the first time ever, I went up there and did not bring a laptop. I brought just that iPad with keyboard, because I've been slowly importing every single thing that I could possibly do on a computer onto that iPad to see if I reach any limits. And I haven't, except for one. And the one limit I've hit so far recently has nothing to do with the iPad. It has to do with Comcast. Why does anybody use Comcast? I don't know. I used it for years, and now I don't know why I would ever touch it. It is a black hole tar baby of an internet service provider. I am always locked out of my Comcast account, always, and trying to set up a new password leads to an infinite loop where you set up a new password, it says, okay, you have succeeded. Then you go to the App Store to download something, or you go to somewhere else where you need your Comcast sign in. You sign in, it tells you, no, that's wrong. You think, okay, well, maybe it takes a minute for Comcast to update, because I just updated my password. So you wait a minute, or maybe you turn the machine all the way off and then turn it back on again and try it again, and it doesn't work. Try it another time and it doesn't work, then Comcast locks you out. It says your account is locked. If you want to reset it, if you want to reopen it, here are the steps you have to take. So you go in and you make a new password, different from the one you made a few minutes ago, and the whole process all over again. And of course, everything is automated. There is no way to contact a living, breathing person at Comcast, ever, under any circumstances. I don't believe that any living, breathing persons exist at Comcast. With the result that I'm constantly fighting with this thing, I swear. When I get a new device, like the new iPad, for instance, or a new phone, you want to go in and make it all right. Set up your email, set up your Instagram, set up all of that stuff. And every time one of those things is linked to a Comcast account, as opposed to any other kind of email, it becomes the battle of Verdun. And that is happening now. So a couple of limitations that I'm encountering on the 7 of 9 have nothing to do with the iPad. They're just things I can't do because I can't get through to Comcast. But other than that, your tech update is what I'm filming on. And I love it. I absolutely love it. The other day, I don't remember what it was. They're all blurring together. Yesterday, I think it was. I was working on the iPad. I was working on 7 of 9, the iPad keyboard combination. And something came up, some document that I did not have on the iPad and I didn't have access to. I'd saved it on my MacBook Air. I have an 11-inch MacBook Air. That's sort of my go-to laptop right now because it's newer, it's more durable, the keys aren't wearing out, the hinge isn't wearing out, anything like that. And I went to that machine to find that document. I thought, while I was there, well, no. Okay, you found the document, you need to work on it. But you've got this machine open. Why not just work on it here? And so I did. I started to work on it and was reminded immediately of how much I prefer the fabric skin keyboard to chiclet style keys that are constantly snagging my fingers, constantly. It's a worse typing experience, much worse. For me, it's a much worse typing experience. So that's your tech update, is that I continue to do wonders on the 7 of 9 and go longer and longer stretches without opening a clamshell laptop at all. Because when I'm done with the productivity part of 7 of 9, when I'm done with the typing and the moving files around and whatnot, then what do? Well, then I feel like maybe taking a break for an hour to read, and usually for a lot longer than an hour. All of my reading is done on this iPad, all of it. Or all of my new reading anyway, but tons of old reading too, because a lot of you have been very generous with ebooks. So I do a lot of reading, and I don't have to switch devices. It used to be that if I was using my laptop, my MacBook, then I had to switch a device to start reading. And if I felt like, taking 15 minutes to scroll through various social media, well, I wanted to do that on an iPad and not on my laptop. So I would have to switch devices there too. I don't have to do that anymore. So that's great. I don't have any mailboy updates. I haven't been out of the house, except to appointments where no mailboy dares to go. And aside from that, the only outside real world thing that I can mention is this is Monday, and Tuesday night in America we have our presidential debates. They're not really debates. They're going to be misinformation shouting matches. And I once upon a time told myself that these things have historical importance, and so I must watch. And that I was wrong. They don't. And so I want to offer you a challenge, a personal challenge. If you're an American, don't watch. Just don't. You can get the incredibly embarrassing highlights the next day. I don't think I'm going to watch. And in order to avoid the debate, which is, it's just going to be embarrassing. It's just going to be debasing. Because all that Donald Trump is going to do is attack Joe Biden's sons. He'll start with the living one, with Hunter Biden. But he'll move on to Beau. He'll move on to the son that Joe Biden lost. And he'll make it incredibly dirty. Much worse than it would have been yesterday. Because the news for Donald Trump lately is not good. And Joe Biden is not equipped to handle that with statesman-like reserve. He's not equipped for that at all. It's just going to be embarrassing. So I would urge you all not to watch. But in addition to all that, before we wrap up, I've got some mail, a couple of pieces of mail, a package and a box. Nothing from any of you, thankfully. But we'll see what we have here. Oh, okay, great. This is Isaac Bailey. Why didn't we riot? A black man in Trump land. Why didn't we riot? Black letters on an orange background. Orange is forever tainted as a color. I don't know how we're going to get through Halloween. These impassioned, powerful essays, an award-winning journalist deals forthrightly with what it means to be black in Trump's America. South Carolina-based journalist Isaac Bailey reflects on a wide range of complex, divisive topics, from police brutality and Confederate symbols to respectability politics and white discomfort, which have taken on a fresh urgency with the protest movement sparked by George Floyd's killing. Bailey has been honing his views on these issues for the past quarter of a century in his professional and private life, which included an 18-year stint as a member of the mostly white evangelical Christian church. Why Didn't We Riot speaks to and for the millions of black and brown people throughout the United States who were effectively pushed back to the back of the bus in the Trump era by a media that prioritized the concerns and feelings of the white working class, and an administration that made white supremacists giddy, and explains why the country's fate in 2020 and beyond is largely in their hands. Okay. All right. Pushed to the back of the bus by a media that prioritized the concerns and feelings of white working class. Absolutely not true. The blame here for the very real phenomenon that's described in that cover jacket copy falls squarely on one person only. It does not fall on the media. It falls on the fact that Americans elected a racist as president, who has been emboldening. He's not like he's fighting with the worst angels of his nature. He's been emboldening racists for the last 4 years. As a result, the country is intensely more racist and vocally racist than it has been in 150 years. And all the blame on that goes to one person. There's no institutional failure there. Plenty of mainstream media, plenty of stories about black and brown people and the injustices that they've suffered. Plenty of that. There have been enormous numbers of stories like that. Now, the reason why the atmosphere exists that Bailey is talking about is because of Donald Trump alone. The vile substrata of Klan member cultists that he's tapped into would have remained silent, and mostly, and very rightly, embarrassed by their own ideas. They would have been the shame of their family, but they wouldn't have been walking around in public. They wouldn't have been talking to reporters and saying, I think my brown representative who was born in Queens should go back where she came from. They wouldn't have been saying any of that in public. The only reason they're saying that in public is because the president says it in public. But I've heard good things about this book, so I will... I think I have another copy as well. I will give it a try. And then the next one here is a box, but it's fairly light. This may not be a big, heavy finished copy. There are a number of now that we're sort of turning the corner into the fall season, there are a number of big items that are coming out. Prestige items, I guess you could call them, things that my fellow critics are going to want to have and talk about. One of the more dismaying ones is a big, long-awaited new biography of Philip Roth that will come to me eventually. It will come to all critics eventually, and then there will be a huge conversation. Whither Roth? What do we do with Roth? Are we canceling him? And I have a worry that a lot of those think pieces for the rumpus and the millions will dwell on the fact that Roth is the quintessential self-absorbed, navel-gazing, narcissistic white man, and all of the inherent privileges that entails, and that those think pieces won't concentrate at all on the fact that he's also terrible, that his books are terrible, and deserve to be forgotten, and are slowly being forgotten. So we'll have a little blip on the radar where he gets a few more minutes in the sun because of that biography. But there are a bunch of other things too that are oh my, this is not one of those. This will still get reviewed everywhere, I think, or in a lot of places. Certainly all the usual suspects will do it. Oh, I didn't think it would be this big. This is Adrian Goldsworthy. A lot of you will know Adrian Goldsworthy. He's a terrific classical historian. And this is Philip and Alexander, Kings and Conquerors. Look at that. Very nice. This is, once again, being shipped from a warehouse because still, after all this time, since March, still publicists are not at their office. So there's no tipped-in sell sheet, but we can read from the jacket copy. A lot of those of you who know classical history aren't going to need any introduction to either of these people. Alexander the Great, of course, is one of the most famous people in the history of the world, and Philip of Macedon, his father, laid a lot of the groundwork for a lot of Alexander's conquering ideas, for his conquering ethos, and the machinery that he used to do it, at least in the early stages. So it's great that he's getting double billing here. Alexander the Great's conquest staggered the world. From Greece to modern Pakistan, he overthrew the greatest empire and kingdoms of his time and built a new one in their place. Well, he tried to, lasted 5 minutes. He claimed to be the son of a god, but he was actually the son of Philip II. In Philip and Alexander, award-winning historian Adrian Goldsworthy shows Alexander's father was integral to his extraordinary success. Philip II of Macedon was young and inexperienced when he came to power. He inherited a minor kingdom that was on the verge of being dismembered, yet he succeeded in making Macedonia dominant throughout Greece. Philip transformed Macedonia into a military power, literally creating the army that won Alexander's victories. Fantastic. Okay, great. And this has blurbs by Barry Strauss, Tom Holland, and Victor Davis Hanson. Wow, fantastic. Okay. Well, the one I don't have... I still don't have, after all this time of looking for it, I still don't have a copy of Adrian Goldsworthy's big, fat biography of Julius Caesar. I can count on the fingers of one hand the number of times I've seen it in a hardcover with a dust jacket in a used bookstore. And I remember vividly all the times when I did see it because I didn't get it for one reason or another. And I need to rectify that because as a popular biography of Caesar, it sort of stands alone in the last few decades. And it'd be good to reread it just to get the old scent back. But I have a feeling that the date on this is probably coming up in October. So I should get to it right away. Not that that's much of a hardship. That's not much of a hardship because Alexander's one of my 5 guys. So this will be extremely familiar. I know the sources that Goldsworthy is going to use here. There's nothing else you can do. So the question is going to be how he uses those sources, and that's always fascinating to me. So those were our books, 2 nonfiction. Why Didn't We Riot? And Philip and Alexander. Not bad at all as far as nonfiction goes. There may be more mail today. I don't really know. There won't be another video today, but I will get to work on the Q&A. The thing I'm thinking now, there's no way in the world that I can do 2 solid hours of breaking Q&As up into 30 questions each and 30 minutes each. There's no way I can do that. So I think, as tedious as it might be, you come to this channel for tedium. I might just do 1 segment of Q&As every day until I get them done. I better get to work on it, though, or because we're going to be at 7.8K in no time at all, and then we'll have to do it all over again. So anyway, I will sign off for now. I want to thank you once again, all of you, for being there. I want to thank you for being there. And I will see you tomorrow. Thank you, BookTube.